The Needham Conservation Commission plans to construct a boardwalk in Ridge Hill Reservation to make a wetlands area more accessible. And here's Derek Reisner with more.
The boardwalk will be about 1,000 feet and will cover a lot of the ground that is typically very, very muddy and difficult for people to track through. It will join the east part of the reservation with the western part of the reservation, allowing a loop for people to walk through. And it will provide access to a very interesting natural environment. It's a classic example of a red maple swamp, and it's among the most biodiverse areas in Ridge Hill Reservation. So it's a fascinating place to walk through, both in terms of the plant life, the kinds of ferns, the kinds of mosses, for example, but also in terms of the wildlife that tends to populate the area.
The new boardwalk will be a replacement for a boardwalk that had rotted out and been removed about 10 years ago. The new boardwalk will be rot resistant, and it will be more elevated, so it will last longer than the old one did. The Conservation Commission is also using the reconstruction to rename the Swamp Trail to make a connection to Needham history.
Timothy Otis Fuller was an amateur naturalist, and he did an enormous amount of work collecting, exploring Needham's natural environments. He was a collector both of plants, and then later in his life he was a birder, and so he has these very, very detailed records of Needham's plant and bird life from over 100 years ago.
The Timothy Otis Fuller Trail will be paid for using funds specifically set aside for conservation purposes.
The Conservation Commission anticipates that this will cost $283,000. $100,000 of that will come from the Conservation Commission Conservation Fund itself, and then the remaining funds would come from the Community Preservation Act. That would be another $183,000.
For the Needham Channel News, I'm Derek Reisner.